district, the Salton Sea, which has many challenges, is said to have as much as 30%, a third, of all global demand for lithium in the world. It, oh, by the way, happens to be in an area of agriculture, poverty, underinvestment, exploitation, highest rates of unemployment, and some of the worst air quality in the United States. We lack certain infrastructure there. But right now, international concerns are dumping billions of dollars into buying up existing geothermal infrastructure so they can separate and extract lithium. But we don't have a strategy how to build the co-production facilities, how to build infrastructure to make sure that we're going to be able to export with as little incremental cost as possible and as much community benefit as possible, high quality export grade lithium to the world market. Who's our competition? Places like Texas and Louisiana. All due respect to those wonderful states, they don't have the same value system or priorities around workforce protection or the environment that we stick to in California. You go to Texas, say, where do you want to build it? You want us to build it on a burial ground? Great, tomorrow it'll be built. So they have a different approach to doing things, and they can do it faster and cheaper, no doubt. But we have a better workforce, we have a better product, and we have a better way to extract that. But there isn't a strategy, believe it or not yet, for the state to think about how do you capitalize on something that has such a long, lasting economic potential benefit. There is no strategy. There is no integration. So one of the things I'd like to do in state government is to be that voice that says, hey guys, this is a big deal, and we need to get this right. And so workforce development and really being strategic about a plan statewide and really investing in folks is really important to me. And housing, and we're going to get into that, I know. We've done a lot on housing. We've done a lot to incentivize housing, to remove some barriers, to let local governments be able to more easily entitle higher density projects, do TOD projects, transit-oriented projects to kind of free up additional lands that might be available that were constrained before to build housing on. But one thing I really want to flag for you that is something that's important to me is kind of the uncomfortable elephant in the room. When I was a young kid growing up, and my parents' generation as well, we had a different kind of economic mobility in our country and our state. When you entered the workforce, you were a minimum wage earner, low wage earner. You went to school, you worked, you lived at home, you worked at, you delivered pizzas, you did low, service-oriented jobs. You weren't paid high wages and benefits, but you had sort of a support network and the ability to develop your skills and then migrate from the entry level of the workforce to other pieces of the workforce, other time. That hasn't been true in 30 years. For almost a third of California's workforce today, more of them are stuck in that entry-level piece of the workforce. What does that mean? That means they actually rely on low-wage, minimum-wage jobs to live, more and more of them. That means that they have to work more and more hours to deliver their labor, sometimes 80, 90 hours a week. And no matter how hard they work, they cannot afford to even rent an apartment in any market in the United States, never mind near where they work. Now, why is that a problem for the business community? It's not economically sustainable. It's not economically sustainable. Forget your politics, forget your social views. It's not economically sustainable to have that much of your workforce stranded, that no matter how hard they work, they can't participate in the economy. That's a problem. And so when it comes to affordability of housing, for example, in my humble view, we're not going to build our way to affordability. It's an important piece of it. Scarcity is a piece of it. Try to lower incremental costs, produce more product, incentivize that. Great, but we could build 1 million units of new affordable housing tomorrow. We could underwrite half of it, and too large of our workforce would not be able to even afford it. Wouldn't be able to afford it. We can't sustain that. So in my view, what does it mean? That means we need to invest better and more strategically in getting people the skills and education so they can participate and the value of their labor goes up. There's something wrong with the social contract, right? The deal in America always was, here's the deal. You work hard, you work honest. Not everybody's going to be a millionaire, not everybody's going to be an engineer, doctor, or lawyer, and everything in between, but everybody's work has value. And if you work hard and you work honest and you work full time, you will be able to at least meet your basic needs. That contract is broken today in California. The words working poverty do not belong in the same sentence. Because these aren't people that are all scamming the system, and they're not lazy. They work their butt off. That's the deal, and the deal is broken. And so you asked me about how we get to affordability. How do we get to affordability on housing? How do we get to affordability and access to healthcare? How do we think about developing the workforce of tomorrow? We can't ignore the fact that a third of our workforce is stuck in a way they weren't 50 years ago. We better grapple with that, my friends, or we're going to be in for some really, really tough times. So there's my overarching theme. I'm happy to talk more specifically about the bills I have, but that's what's in my heart and my head. I'm here to listen to you and learn from you and have a great conversation. Thanks for having me.